speaker tonight is known as Major Tsuda by his comrades, serving the Hawaii Army National Guard for 21 years. He is also the commander of Guards Officers Candidate School. He is a registered investment advisor and a principal of Generational Wealth Partners and Advisors, has been serving Hawaii's real estate investors for 7 years. And he is a co-founder of Wealth Clubs of America. His comrades, clients, friends, and colleagues have known him with the highest level of integrity and honesty. I'm sorry, single ladies, Mr. Tsuda is married and has a 6-year-old son. So, ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming the soon-to-be mentor of FAMES, Mr. Gavin Tsuda.
Thanks, Mina. This is for those of you civilians. This is the first time that I'll be giving this talk to civilians. This is actually the first class that I give to young privates and sergeants who are looking to be lieutenants in the Army. And it is, I think it's one of the important lessons that I give to them. I want to read to you, I want to start by reading to you out of the field manual, Army Field Manual 6-22 on Army leadership. An ideal Army leader has strong intellect, physical presence, professional competence, high moral character, and serves as a role model. An Army leader is able and willing to act decisively and with the intent and purpose of his superior leaders and in the best interest of the organization. Now, who wouldn't want to follow someone like that? There's a lot of examples out there of soldiers right now in the war on terror who are just doing extraordinary feats of bravery and sacrifice. And then there's a bunch of business owners out there who have trouble getting people to show up on time for their meetings. And a lot of people ask, what drives people to follow a leader into the face of death, and being able to do it without question. And I'm going to share with you some of those things. I'm doing this talk at the request of Brody, who asked me to talk about this. And one of the things that he asked me was exactly that. How do we get the soldiers to do what they do? And I told him, one of the keys is called command presence. And he said, what is command presence? And I actually couldn't answer him. Everybody in the Army kind of knows what command presence is, but it was really hard for them to really define what it is. And so what I did was I really started thinking about it in the last 2 months, and I put together 6 keys that I see in all leaders who have a command presence. So I've really altered this course. So this is really the first time I'm doing this, but I put it together with a class that I really give to the officer candidates. So command presence is one of the keys. So what is command presence? How do we define it? Clint, can you bring this up? You can leave it right here in the front. I just brought something to show you guys. 5 years ago, almost 5 years ago, in July of 2005, I was in the wrong place at the wrong time. I got deployed with the Hawaii Army National Guard. I was in the middle of Baghdad. I had been assigned with 2nd Battalion 299 Infantry, and I actually got moved to our headquarters, which was an active duty brigade. And one night when I was done, I walked into the command post and I saw our brigade commander in there, Colonel Hooker, and he was sitting there and he was on the radio. He was talking to the 3rd Infantry Division commander. And he was in a shorts and t-shirt, and then he put the radio down and he said, "Captain Tsuda, come here." So I went there and he said, "We need to do a cordon-in search in this area to the west of the airport." And it was 10:30 at night, it was pitch black, and I had been out of the line unit for 2 years. I had been on battalion staff and brigade staff, so it's been a while since I've been down at the line doing anything. But unfortunately, there wasn't any units available. So he told me, "I'm going to give you 5 platoons, and I want you to take them out." He said, "Unfortunately, only one of the platoons are infantry." So I was like, "Oh, great! Now what am I going to do?" But one of the things I did was I ran out And this was the first thing that I grabbed, and I'm gonna show you guys. So how many of you have seen that before? Those of you in the back. This thing weighs about 20 pounds, and there's no ammunition and no water in it yet. But that was the first thing I grabbed. One of the reasons why I wanted to bring that and show it to you was twofold. First, my appreciation for what the soldiers do every day out there. And you know, when I first put that thing on at Schofield Barracks, I was like, how the heck am I gonna breathe, much less fight in that thing? And but you did after a while. You just get used to it, and you know, you get accustomed to wearing it, and it works out. But you know, that night, I threw this thing on, and you guys notice something about this? Well, besides it being really dirty. Well, one of the things I wanted to point out, and it's something that Joni always talks about, a professional appearance. You know, the first thing I wanted the soldiers to see was that I was ready. You know, I wasn't the stereotypical officer in my clean uniform that just goes, stands out there and tells them what to do. I was going to be ready to fight side by side with them if we had to. And that was the first thing I did. Another thing you notice about this is that it doesn't look like those CIA wannabes with the 35 magazines and the Rambo knife, you know. I look like a professional soldier when I put this thing on. And I'll show it to you guys again. My name and my rank, I usually covered up with duct tape because I didn't want anybody to see it when I was out there, but we had to have it on anyway. But a professional appearance, that's the first thing. Thanks a lot. And I always made sure that I always had a professional appearance. I made sure, you know, a lot of people say officers are always clean. No, it's just that we clean our equipment. You know, we get dirty like everybody else. Now, when he put me in, Colonel Hooker, he told me, you have 10 minutes to come up with a plan and you need to be driving out that gate. Now, this was not the time for me to pull out the field manuals and start reading up on how I do a cordon and search. It was the last thing that I needed to do. I also couldn't go back and start looking in the field manuals to figure out how I format an operations order so that I could give it properly to the soldiers and I wouldn't miss anything. Well, I'd already memorized those things. And I'd already internalized it. And I kept myself proficient because I knew I'm an infantry officer. I'm going into combat. It doesn't matter what my job is right now. It doesn't matter that I'm a gopher for the colonel. At any time, I could be called to do something. And I made sure I had technical and tactical proficiency. Now, technical and tactical proficiency doesn't mean that I got down into the minutia and try and learn what the soldiers are doing now. I need to know that. I need to know how to fire my weapon. I need to know how to do the basic soldiering skills. And maybe I might spend a little bit of time doing that, but I'm going to spend 99% of my time doing something that's commensurate with my rank. And that's what I did, and I made sure that I know how to do it. So I went out, I came up with a plan, I came back and I briefed them, and then I realized we don't even have maps for that area. So what the heck am I going to do? I've never been there before. I went to the intelligence officer and I had him print out some imagery. And I had him tell me, point to where this place is at. So he points to it. Okay, I think I can get there. So I grab that map, we throw it into the vehicle with all my other stuff. I jump in there and we're gonna drive blackout, meaning the lights are gonna be out. The driver's gonna be using night vision. We're gonna be going out the gate. And so while we're going out the gate, I'm having to give the operations order over the radio to the 5 platoons, only one who is infantry, and they're on 5 different frequencies, and they have 5 different standard operating procedures. So I had to make sure my operations order was complete. Gave them the order as we were driving, while I'm trying to navigate to get to this place in pitch black. Well, we took a road that I thought was going to get us there, and when we're about 10 minutes up that road, the road's blocked. And then my driver tells me, I knew this road was blocked. I'm like, great. I go, now we wasted 20 minutes getting to this place, right? My next point, situational awareness. You know, if there's anything the Army is, it's efficient. You know, with its good and its bad, it's efficient. And you know, some of my agents that work with me, a lot of them have military experience. I tend to attract that kind of person. And I was just telling Rich Crowley today, you know, we can communicate 1,000 words in one phrase because we have years of experience behind it. I just tell him, you know, I tell him situational awareness. He knows exactly what I'm talking about. So this soldier, I told him the same thing, situational awareness. You should have told me when we took this turn, right? One of the keys to leadership. Now, situational awareness is not, you know, you watch the movies when you see the CIA guy and they go into the restaurant and they walk out and they've seen everything. Nobody can do that, you know? But what situational awareness means, when you put that together with technical and tactical proficiency, you know what to look for because you know what you're doing. So when you're driving down the road and you see a pile of garbage that looks out of place, you know what? That might be a roadside bomb. They jump out at you. That's situational awareness. So certain things will jump out at you from the environment so that you don't have to look at everything. Next thing, attention to detail. You guys know what that means? Attention to detail. That's kind of tied to situational awareness, right? Making sure all the details are done before you leave. I got another lesson with attention to detail, and I'll get there in a moment. So we finally arrived there, on site, and what do? I get out, and there's a lieutenant there, and all the other platoons are there. So what is the first thing I do? I notice that there's two structures, not just one. Now that makes it a lot more complicated than just having one structure. But the lieutenant had went ahead and set up a cordon around both structures, which is exactly what I would have wanted him to do. How did he know how to do that? Why did he do that? Because when I gave the order over the radio, I gave him both a task and a purpose. You guys understand the difference between a task and a purpose? Task is something measurable that you need to do. And when somebody completes it, they know that they've completed it. That's what a task is. Now, purpose is the why. So if I tell you, throw the rubbish out and put it in the dumpster, that's a task. But if I tell Clint, throw the rubbish out and put it in the dumpster, and he goes, crap, you know, I can't do it right now. I have something more important to do. And he runs out and he does something else, and then he comes back, and then I hammer him for not doing it. Whose fault was that? And a lot of people would say that was Clint's fault. No, I would say that was my fault because I did not provide him with the purpose. Now, if I told him, take the trash out because I don't want the room to get stinky, then, and he says, you know what, I have something I need to do right now, but if I take this trash and put it right outside the door, and I come back later, and then I put it into the dumpster, I'll have accomplished Gavin's purpose. So now if you provide a task and a purpose, then the person, in the absence of orders, can make inferences on his own and make a change to the plan without you having to be there